Hello and welcome to OurTime. Fresh from playing the lead Bernadette in the Australian production of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which was just recently staged last year in the Gold Coast in Queensland, our very special guest is the amazing Vonni.
Hello, how are you? Thank you, Malcolm.
It's a big introduction.
Thank you so. It is a big introduction, and thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure because you were you're the first Australian to play the role. Just explain the role.
So the Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, the movie that was written by Stephen Elliott, became a musical, and it's been a musical for over 20 years.
Well, it's toured all over the world, which is
absolutely
fantastic. And
mainly the character of Bernadette was played by, in the movie was Terence Stamp. And then in the musical, it's always been...
Well, it was Tony Sheldon. Tony Lamont's son.
Who came and saw the show. And for the first time, the people in Queensland, and it was a local production, he wanted a transgender actor to play the transgender role.
So where did he get one?
He came to Adelaide.
And?
With the director, Trevor Ashley, a brilliant Trevor Ashley. He saw me sing with Carlotta, and he just said, look, come and audition. We're doing a 4-day workshop on the Gold Coast. They flew me up there, put me up in a nice posh hotel, and at the end of the 4 days, they said, you've got the job. But they took me out for dinner to tell me, with the producer and the director, and we're just sitting there at a posh restaurant, and in walks Carlotta, and sits next to me. She says, hello, love. And then they went and bought Moe. And I'm thinking, something's going on here. And he says, congratulations, Vonni, we're giving you the job. Pop the cork.
How fantastic. Now, just let's talk about the show, because the show really was sort of based around Carlotta's story, wasn't it?
The character of Bernadette. Is based on Carlotta and her life as a retired showgirl from Lay Girls in King's Cross. I was lucky enough to work with her for quite a few years. She gave me the job in 1982.
How incredible.
And we became great mates, and we actually lived together for a while as well. And we see each other annually, and she comes to Adelaide, I go to the Gold Coast. We're great mates, we speak to each other all the time. So to actually work on it, because she was in it too.
Right. But look, we've got a shot, and you would never believe that this is Carlotta.
Unbelievable. So
yes.
If you've seen the movie and there's the bigot in the pub, the rough lady.
The rough Sheila in the pub.
The rough Sheila that says, when the girls go up to get a drink, she says, no, you can't. There's nothing for people like you, nothing. And that was a local Broken Hill woman, a beautiful lady.
Yes.
But in the character, she was not a nice lady and wanted the people out of the pub. Well, Carlotta played that role.
Of all
the roles.
Let's have a look at the picture, because it's a worthwhile picture to look at. On the left, that's Carlotta.
That's Carlotta, and that's me in the middle as Bernadette.
Who would have believed? And the other lady?
The other lady, she was a great help to me and helped me.
Is she your dresser?
No, she played the piano and helped me.
Okay.
She was like the second hand for the musical director.
Because you had to learn all the songs.
I had to learn all the songs, and there was different rooms with different people learning.
But that's what
songs.
Carlotta is more likely to look at in the centre there with you, looking like Rhonda Birchmore.
Well, that's her in the middle.
And Paulini.
And Paulini. So Paulini was one of the divas. And so what they did is that in the first act, they had Carlotta as Shirl, and that interval, people in the audience, they were saying, I thought Carlotta was in this show. They didn't know that was her.
That was her. How
and then
wonderful.
in the opening of the second act, which is in Bob's kitchen.
Hang on, what happened then? The ghosts came in again. Keep talking, we're fine.
Oh.
Yes, it's all right.
So in the second act, when the curtain goes up, it's in Bob's kitchen. Bob is Bernadette's love interest. And the other girls say, that's Bernadette, she used to be at Lay Girls. And he said, I went to Lay Girls when in the Vietnam War. Oh my God, it was beautiful. And it's a dream sequence, and the backdrop goes up, and there's Carlotta all in beautiful white, looking like an angel, coming out as a showgirl, doing a beautiful song, while we're just stopped because it's a dream sequence for Bob.
So that wasn't in the movie. That was obviously put in the show just for that reason.
That was put in the show. Well,
fantastic.
Trevor Ashley is just marvellous. He changed a few things.
Well, he's just an incredible performer. He's done so many shows as Liza Minnelli. It's Liza on an E.
Liza on an E, and Gentlemen Prefer Blokes, Body Bag. He's just recently done at Christmas time, he did Moulin Scrooge, and Carlotta was in that.
Okay.
She was the owner of the nightclub.
Okay, well, amazing. So we've got some shots of the actual show with you in the show, and what's great about this is it was an Australian production, so that's the shot we saw before with Carlotta in the middle, so that would have been sort of more her look, but she was in white, right?
But she was in white, and we do have a shot. I did send you a shot of that.
Yes. No, I've got some of those. So let's have a look at some of the others.
And we shared a dressing room together. So so it was like being back at the 80s at the famous King's Cross Lay Girls.
Amazing.
And so sharing a dressing room again, and they actually gave me my own dressing room because I was the star of the show. But I just wanted Carlotta to be in there with me, so I asked them would they mind if she was in with me.
Yeah, well, no, what a lovely thing, because
she's a big star.
Yeah, but also, we've all aged over the years, and the nice thing is the people that sort of started us off, because she was obviously a huge influence on you and what you've done in your life, and to have that sort of family back together again, just fabulous.
Well, when she rang me to give me the job in the show, I was working in Melbourne. And there was no work, and so we were all working in R-rated cinemas where they showed blue movies, and in between each movie they had a stripper, and we were working as those strippers. And then one day I got home, there was a message on my home phone, no mobiles then, and it was Carlotta offering me a show in Sydney. So that was great.
Well, let's look at some of the photos of the show.
Fabulous. That's the finale.
You're in the centre there.
Centre. Well, I had the leading role, which was absolutely brilliant.
That puts you in the centre, doesn't it?
Yeah. And the first transgender woman in Australia to be offered that role, and only the second in the world.
Yeah, brilliant. Here you are again. Bit of a house dress there.
That's the pub scene with the bus in the background.
The Palace Hotel, yes.
At the Palace Hotel, and in Bob's kitchen there. And Bob was my love interest in the show, played by the absolutely brilliant Stephen Tandy, who some of you may remember from The Sullivans.
Right. He doesn't look like how we remember him there.
No, they wanted him to. They wanted him to keep his...
This is the set that flew and Carlotta was behind it?
So this is the opening of the first show, and that backdrop went up, and Carlotta was behind it during Bob's dream sequence of him remembering Lay Girls.
And this is a shot in the finale, is it?
The close-up, yeah.
Right.
And the two boys, they were gorgeous. So that was Tick and Adam. And Tick, played by Keane Fletcher, had just come back from doing Phantom of the Opera on
in the West
Sydney
End.
Harbour.
Right.
That one. And Jared Moore, who played Adam, he'd just come back from Japan working at all those movie places.
Oh, right. It's he with the pink hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
He had to go pink
and
to be that
And this was your
role.
love interest?
And that was gorgeous Stephen Tandy, Bob.
Right.
Yeah.
And this was obviously a handbill from the show, the poster from the show. Look at you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was just so much fun. I'd never been in a musical before. It was my very first musical. And so, God bless them. It was a Matt Ward production, and lovely of him to invite me to just audition.
Well, apart from that, here's a great shot of you. I think that's fantastic.
That's just one that they use for publicity.
No one would believe you were 45, would they?
Thank you.
No, but as you say, the joy of being asked to do this, because basically all through your life you've worked in clubs, you've danced, you've run clubs, you've worked behind the bar, you've lugged cartons of beer upstairs, you've done everything.
All sorts of things like that. And always in those types of shows was always lip syncing. Mm-hmm. But some very good friends of mine who you also know, 15 years ago now, convinced me to write a show with them and sing live.
Girly Side of Butch.
The Girly Side of Butch.
Which I directed.
Which you directed and was in your theatre.
Yes. Amazing.
That was the first step that pushed me to have the confidence to sing.
Isn't that wonderful? Because on stage you have so many stories to tell. You really have so many stories to tell. And guess what? We're coming back after this short break and we'll tell you some of them.
Ooh.
Welcome back. Our special guest is Vonni, performer extraordinaire. And I thought you were going to dress up to come in.
Oh, no, I just put this old thing on.
Yes.
It's all I could find.
I know. It's so sad that you're so short of simple clothes.
Unfortunately. I just finished shopping at Coles.
Of course you had, yes, of course. All these old lines, Vonni. We did it when we did that tour of
Girly Side
of Butch. We actually flew to Paris together.
That's right.
And you fell asleep on my shoulder, as I recall.
Did I?
You
don't
did.
remember that.
I've got the photos.
We were sitting next to each other, were we?
On the plane. Yes,
were we? I don't remember.
It's a long flight.
Oh, I don't remember. I remember that one day, though, we left Dublin on the same day.
This is an
so we had
international tour.
breakfast in Dublin, lunch in London, and dinner in Athens.
That's correct, yes. Oh, nothing like the jet-setting lifestyle.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay, so your career really sort of took off after you'd done some work here in Adelaide. But it must have been difficult for you because clearly you didn't start your life as a girl. How did you find out what to do, how to do it? Who did you meet?
I
Who
didn't
helped
know
you?
anything about that sort of thing. I just thought I was the only person that felt like I did. I didn't know really what I was. And then I started working in this strip club, and it was the first strip club in Adelaide.
You were working the bar.
I was working the bar. And this is long before Crazy Horse. This is the first strip club in Adelaide, and it was called La Belle in Hindley Street. I think it's called Jive now, and it's a band venue. But I started working there behind the bar, and all these glamorous girls on stage, and I'd been working there for a few weeks when I realised that they weren't born female. And that's when the brick fell on my head. I went, oh, that's me, that's the same as me. And that's how I realised there was other people
Was
the
that
same.
really, because now it's openly talked about and people can be as transgender as they want to be sort of thing, and there's so many LGBTQI plus terminology, but then there was none of that.
There was none of that. There was really no help from anybody. But because of that, and because it wasn't well known, no one ever picked us or realised what we were. They just thought we were girls.
Right.
Glamorous girls working on stage and stripping in a strip club. But these days, because it's so talked about, people, especially I'm 6'1", and so people will look at me and say, is it or isn't it? Is that a bloke? Is that, are you a man or a woman?
But
and I say yes.
As you've often said, I'm a Vonni.
I'm just Vonni. I don't like labels. So,
No, and I completely understand
I don't
that.
consider myself to be female, but I'm not male either. I'm just Vonni.
Yes, perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Now, you said before that Carlotta then invited you up to Les Girls in Sydney.
Yes, so we'd finished a tour with the Melbourne touring show of Les Girls, we were basically just dumped in Melbourne, and
Wondering what to do next.
And then I got home from this job that I had to do, which was just working in theatres, where they showed blue movies, and in between the movies they had strippers, and that's what we were all doing. And I got home and there was this message on the phone asking me to ring Carol in Sydney, and Carol turned out to be Carlotta, and she offered me a job.
And it was here at Les Girls.
It was there. And it's very sad that this building is being demolished as we speak. So
it's sad to see places
knocked down.
Yeah, where we loved to work. I've been in that situation with theatres I've worked in that have now gone.
Yeah.
And it's sort of really sad when it just disappears from.
It's got a lot of history, and that's where Carlotta, started. She started a little bit earlier than that, but that's where she became famous.
And this is you in one of the shows
One
on
of the
floor?
shows, yeah. Magnificent costumes. The costumes were a fortune, and Carlotta designed a lot of them too. And then we had all different dressmakers make them for different productions that we were in, so they didn't all look the same.
Yep.
Very
You're
expensive.
on the floor again there.
I was always. I was
Were you always on the floor?
I was on the floor a lot.
Because you were taller than them? Let's leave it there.
Let's leave it there.
Yes.
It's a family show. Those costumes were based on the old gas
You're
commercial.
on the right there, just by the way.
Yes. Those costumes are made... Do you remember the gas commercial where they had the blue flame?
I do.
So that was made from that. The costumes designed from the flames from that.
Oh, here's a bit of a glamorous look.
Our finale, just the costumes and the feathers. And Carlotta there was a workroom and we all had to go and do work bees, and she would wire all the feathers. And the ghost is here again. Hello,
Yes.
are you there?
Our lights just flickered on and on. Yeah, look, it's a history that's now gone. It's probably, drag shows like that don't really exist as they used to then, because they've been sort of taken over now by...
Well, Lake Girls was never really known to be a drag show.
No,
because
it was a theatre restaurant show.
All the girls were transgender that lived as females. And so, but the people that used to come and see the show came for the freak value, because they knew that we were born male, but we all had breasts and we all had hot bodies, and I was a stripper in the show, so I got completely naked. And the people used to just not believe it, especially in the 70s and 80s. They just couldn't believe
I suppose
it.
in some ways it was sort of groundbreaking for what now exists, like Mardi Gras, for example. That people are now more open to understand that not everybody's the same. Is that
And
a
I
simple
just
way
came
to
back
explain
from
it?
Mardi Gras, and World Pride happened at the same time.
Yes.
So we had a double whammy, whereas usually, and for the first time in a couple of years because of COVID, the parade was back on Oxford Street.
Right.
Bigger
yes.
and better, and our Premier marched in it. Not the Premier, our Prime Minister. He walked with Penny Wong in the parade, which is just brilliant.
Well, everybody's a human being at the end of the day, so let's get over any preconceptions we have from the past. Let's just move forward.
Yeah.
But you've made a wonderful career out of what you've done in your life. You've looked after your mum. You've been your mum's carer for many, many years.
7 years she lived with me, and we've just put her into last year.
Don't say you put her in
We
because
put her-
she wanted to go, I believe.
We went to visit someone, and she loved it. And she said, "Vonni, look at the beautiful gardens, and look at the rooms, and look at the this and that, and there's a fountain and this." And I said, "Would you like me to ring up to see if there's a room?" And she said, "Oh yeah." Now I can't even get to see her. I actually saw her today. I was with her for lunch.
She's too busy.
She's too busy. I'll ring and say, "Let's do this." "I can't today. We're playing bingo." "Let's do." "Oh no, we can't do it today. It's bowling day." "No, it's movie day." And she's got so many new friends.
Yeah.
And drawers full of chocolate, because while they're playing cards and trivia, they win chocolate. So she's got drawers full of chocolate for the great-grandchildren when they go around. She loves it. Really loves it.
Yes, it's learning to how we transition in life, I suppose, to the next stage, whatever the next stage is.
What the next stage for me is, today I've just signed the papers for a new unit. Like a few of us, the interest rates have gone sky high. I can't afford my big house anymore, the mortgage, so I'll be selling it. But I'll be able to buy this 2-bedroom villa outright, no mortgage anymore. So,
And that's what you need at 28.
signed the papers today. 28. Well, parts of me are 28, I reckon.
Oh dear, all the old gags come out. If there's somebody like you who hasn't quite worked out what they can become, what's the advice you'd give them?
There are people out there that can help you. Go and speak to your doctor. Your doctor will point you in the right direction, and you're not alone these days. You're not alone. There are people that will help you. There's clubs and different societies that you can join, and there's lots of help these days.
You've had, though, a really fascinating rolling career through your life. You've seen many different people come and go, but you've always been constant as a working person. You've always worked hard.
Yeah, and it's got me ahead. And there's not many of my friends that own their own home and have got the things that I've got, and I've worked.
Yeah, but you've done everything. Like you've DJ'd, you've worked behind a bar, and obviously performed. Was doing Priscilla like a highlight of your career?
It was the highlight of my career.
Right. Well, hopefully it's going to happen again.
Be the history.
Fingers crossed.
Just because of the history of it being first in Australia, to be the first transgender to play a transgender role, and then second in the world. And I really am very thankful to Matt Ward and Trevor Ashley, who was the director, who's the one that pushed me to do it.
Yeah.
I'll always be very grateful. And it was the highlight of my career.
Well, look, hold that thought, because there's something else that's been a highlight of your career, and we'll be back shortly to show you what that is. Our guest on Our Time this time has been the incredible Vonni. We just said what your greatest achievement maybe in life was.
I'm working at Priscilla, working in the musical.
But you've also had contact with some other people who have made themselves quite famous around the world, particularly from Eurovision.
I am a massive, massive fan of Eurovision, and I've watched it since I was a little kid. And I was just amazed in 2014 when a bearded lady, Conchita Wurst, won with her song Rise Like a Phoenix. It was just sensational. And then she toured Australia. And when they came to Adelaide, I got invited to host her show.
And here's the picture.
Oh, so this was done between Hindley Street and North Terrace where the unis are, and there's a street.
Yep.
And they blocked off that street, and we did the show to 2,000 people.
Yep.
And I got some of Adelaide's leading drag queens, and we did a Eurovision tribute.
Right.
And then Conchita came out and sang her song. It was absolutely brilliant.
You never had enough material to finish off your dress.
It was an original Julian Dean, and she always liked me to show a bit of a leg.
We've got some more shots, though, I think, of
Conchita.
Yes.
Well, Conchita does a lot of work now, just as himself.
Yes, I was going to say, but as
still
Tom.
as Conchita.
Still works as
still
Conchita.
releases records and still works as Conchita, but also a lot of mainstream stuff as Tom.
Right. Because he's got an amazing voice.
Unbelievable
Was
voice.
it a gimmick thing for him to do that?
It was
to
a gimmick.
Dress as a
well,
woman
he tried and tried. He'd entered all these different competitions, and he'd tried to become popular and famous, and it just didn't happen until he did Conchita Wurst, and it was just a massive gimmick. But he did have the voice. Oh, he was the best voice on the night.
Yes, extraordinary.
He deserved to win. He didn't win because he had a beard. He won because of the voice and the song.
Yeah.
But that was the gimmick that just
it's one
shot
of
him
those
to
songs
fame.
that sort of just keeps coming back to you, the rise like a phoenix, the rise in the voice, the whole thing. It was just lifted you.
Well, I've just seen him again. I've just come back from Mardi Gras, and I just saw Conchita, because he was here for Mardi Gras, and that photo was just taken just a few weeks ago at Mardi Gras.
Fantastic. Vonni, it's been just lovely talking to you again. Oh, there's another shot. Yes, he's dressed as a boy there. You can see the collar. Just lovely being able to talk to you, and thanks for being so honest with us about everything.
Thank you for having me, Malcolm. It's been a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure and great success. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be able to go back in time and do it all again, is what I would really, really love to do.
If we're not happy with our life, we've missed the whole point, haven't we?
Absolutely.
So, listen, until next time, everyone, thanks, Vonni. Thanks for joining us. Keep yourselves nice till we meet again. Bye.